Hey, yo, what's up, guys? BlastphamousHD on the mic. As you can see, I got a little bit of Metal Gear Rise and Revengeance gameplay in the background for entertainment purposes, but we're really here for story time. I used to actually make all my living from playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards. By making a living, I mean enough to buy me candy and motherfucking Game Informer magazines. I was 15 years old, and I was living in Joshua Villas projects. There's only really two things to do in the projects when you don't have any money or transportation to go anywhere. You can either commit crimes, or you can have sex with ratchet girls. I was relatively awful at both of those things, so needless to say, I didn't indulge in either one. I used to be a really big nerd. I used to love Yu-Gi-Oh cards so fucking much. I've always been really good with playing cards, so of course, what I started doing was, I would hustle people. I would play people for their really good cards against my really good cards. I would beat them for their cards. I very rarely lost. Well, I would take their cards, add it to my cards. Sooner or later, I got a really good deck. Now, you can't just play Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the projects, goddammit. You get shot. So what I started doing was I would catch the bus every Saturday and every Sunday to the suburb where the white people would play Yu-Gi-Oh cards at. Now these suburban kids had money to fucking blow on their fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I don't know where their parents would get so much disposable income from, but these kids would spend like $200, $300 on entire boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then just sit there and open the fucking packs and throw out every common. Anything that wasn't super rare, they weren't fucking with it. I would sit there and watch these kids do this shit, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? So there was a particular game store that would hold the second biggest Yu-Gi-Oh card tournaments on Saturday and Sunday in all of freaking Las Vegas. We're gonna call the place Game Crazy. Now, I would go there and they would have all these awesome arcade games, but on Saturday and Sunday, they would have like 6 or 7 really big tables lined up, and these tables would just be filled to the brim with Yu-Gi-Oh card players. I was one of those guys. Now, I never entered a tournament because that shit cost motherfucking money. Money I wasn't willing to spend because I didn't have the shit. So, what I would do was, I would scour the Yu-Gi-Oh card tournaments for people who wanted to play for cards. Well, and because I was black and a bit loud and silly, people thought that I wasn't a very good Yu-Gi-Oh card player. But I was the motherfucking shit. And even if I wasn't the shit, I knew how to beat people, and I'll come to that later. So, I ran out of kids to beat. No one else wanted to play me for cards. I would beat people out of like $150, $200 worth of fucking cards every weekend, and I would sell them to the stores, because the stores, they would give you $40 to $50 for really good ultra rare cards. Now, there was a kid, we're gonna call him Robert. Now this white boy would show up, you would think it was a red carpet event. I mean, you wouldn't have no limo or nothing. His grandpa would drive him up in a garbagey looking ass pickup truck, but people would line up outside. There was little girl groupies on his jock, because he was so good. At his injury, he was definitely handsome. You know, motherfucker had Superman curl, all that bullshit. Needless to say, this guy was the Yu-Gi-Oh card superstar. This dude was damn near fucking unbeatable. His entire deck was all fucking holographics. Everything in his deck was at least a super rare. Needless to say, his deck was worth $1,500 to $2,000. No bullshit. If he sold that shit on eBay, he would get a lot more. But if he sold it at the desk, he'd probably still get about $1,300. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh card lick of a lifetime. I could supply myself with enough licorice and video game magazines to last me for like 5 months off of hitting this score. You know what they say, man? Either go big or go home. God damn it. And I was short. So one day after he just got done beating some other kid, and shit, he's got his crowd around him. His little brother is to his right, you know, bragging about how his brother is the shit. He's like, my brother beat another one. He's unbeatable in your face. I walk up on him and shit. I'm like, dude, I'll play you right now, man. He's like, you know, I don't play nobody. I'm trying to do like my best fucking gangster voice and shit, cause this nigga's like the Don of Yu-Gi-Oh cards and shit. Like, nigga, I don't play nobody for nothing less than 3 ultra rare recently released Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I'm like, hey yo, dude, yo, hey man, I'll play you for decks. Now, this kid has seen me play before. He knew what my deck was about. He can easily just blow my deck out the fucking water. I'm pretty sure it would not have even been a fucking fight. Addison was far better strategically at Yu-Gi-Oh cards than I was. But I had something he didn't have. No integrity. I was thirsty as fuck for his cards, and I had very little integrity as a fucking kid. So I was like, fuck all that fair shit, man. I do what I gotta do. This is $1,500, man. Fuck this shit. So I'm basically calling him a punk in front of his entire fucking fan base who are all behind him. He could not fucking say no. So I'm like, dude, look, man, you may be able to beat all these losers, but why don't you come fuck with a real nigga at Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Because you can't. You can't fuck with me. Why don't you put up your whole deck against my whole deck? My deck was worth about a fucking G. Now, I wasn't working with no bullshit. I'm clapping like I'm ghetto, I'm doing it. If you a real nigga, you put up that deck and put your cards where your mouth is. So he knew that he had such an advantage over me strategically and card-wise. He was like, oh, you want to battle for decks? Let's do this shit. Brother, announce to the crowd. You know, his brother turns around. The battle's on! Yeah! My brother's about to win this guy's entire deck. Everyone look. So everyone gets closer in and shit to see this ass whooping happen. I'm talking this was at least 30 to 40 fucking kids surrounded around us. And kids are some of the most energetic motherfuckers ever. So they make some of the best crowd noises ever. Yeah! Yeah! So I shuffle my deck and shit. He shuffles his deck. I cut my deck, and then he cuts his deck, and then we settle into the bat. I beat this nigga in 2 moves. Did you see the look of just awe on this cat's face? His jaw is basically on the table. His eyes were so fucking wide. He gathers up all his cards and he just has them in his hands. You can tell by the look on his face that he did not want to give up his fucking cards. The crowd goes completely quiet. I get up, of course, because I am a sore winner. I reach my hands in the air. Yeah! I'm the only person that cheered for me when I fucking won. His granddad, you know, comes over, man, and he's like, well, son, you lost fair and square, man. You put your cards up like a man, you deal with the consequences. Hand your cards over, takes the cards out of his hands, and he gives them to me. This dude gets up, man, and none of his crowd says anything. His brother doesn't say anything. He just gets up with still the same look on his face, man. He puts his head down and he starts walking towards the door, slower than I've ever seen anyone walk anywhere. I bullshit you not. I'm staring at this guy, you know, cause like I feel a little bit bad for him. I could see one fucking single tear, like that Indian in the motherfucking commercial where the nigga throws the motherfucking piece of trash on the floor and the Indian just stands there looking at him and a single tear comes down. That same tear rolls down this motherfucker's eye as he keeps his head down and he keeps trotting towards the motherfucking exit. His granddad behind him, his brother's like, oh, don't worry, you know, you'll get more cards, you'll get more cards. Dude doesn't say shit. He starts walking to the fucking car, and mind you, I'm watching him the whole fucking time. I'm pretty sure his granddad figured, okay, you know, everyone's inside the fucking arcade. I'm in the clear now. His granddad pulls off his belt and starts beating his fucking ass the rest of the way to the fucking car. And he's just yelling at him, you motherfucker, I bought all those fucking cards. You know how much money I spent on those pieces of cardboard? I'm gonna kick the shit out of you when we get home. And this kid is just crying his eyes out while he's getting the shit beat out of him by his granddad. Now, this is when the feelings of you ain't shit started to sink in just a tad. And what made me feel this way was the fact that I had legitimately cheated my fucking ass off in order to beat this kid out of his fucking deck. The way I did that was I came up with the technique very early in me learning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh cards, whereas I would shuffle my deck of cards in such a way as to where I would still fucking get the first 15 to 20 cards on top of my deck in whatever order I wanted to come up first. Huge advantage in fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Now, did I use this trick all the time when I play people for their cards? No. I only used it maybe 4 or 5 times in my entire career of playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards, because some people you just can't fucking beat, and unfortunately he was one of them. Apparently, even though the dude was 17, he took that exceptionally roughly. This kid was at every fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card event, every tournament, everything. There was about 4 a week. After I got done beating this kid out of his entire deck, I never saw him at another Yu-Gi-Oh card event ever. Since that day, I never saw his brother, I never saw his granddad, I never saw him. So it's quite possible that I might have effectively ruined a young boy's aspirations and Yu-Gi-Oh card dreams. That's not even funny. Hope you guys enjoyed this story. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I want you guys to leave a comment down below and tell me of any crazy, messed up shit you did related to either Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or any playing cards or a crazy video game or something that you did when you were younger that was probably really fucked up. And with that, BlastphamousHD out of this bitch.